Joining us now from Washington, Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts. She is digging in on issues that have long muddied Capitol Hill, the influence of money in the federal government. And she joins us now. It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay, so you've got the AntiCorruption and Public Integrity Act. The legislation contains 6 big ideas. We're going to go through them rapid fire, I promise you, because this is important and it's all related. But first, I do want to ask you what your take is on what went down over the past 24 hours. What do you think is finally happening in Washington? Are things closing in on President Trump or unraveling in any way? And are you concerned that he will try and deflect in a way that could hurt our country?
So I think what's been clear from the past 24 hours is that Donald Trump cares about exactly one person, and that one person is named Donald Trump. And he will do anything he has to do to protect Donald Trump. And we watch this, that's why we're talking about corruption today, right? That you make secret payments, you do whatever has to be done. Remember that Michael Cohen also had taken $500,000 at least to come in and influence Donald Trump on behalf of some of the biggest corporations in this country. Yeah. This is all about corruption, influence peddling. This is why we have a problem with Donald Trump, but as you said, we have a problem in Washington. It's time now to make some serious changes, and that's what this bill is all about.
We're going to talk about the bill, but are you concerned, as I am, that he's going to do something to deflect, probably in the next few hours? Because this is probably the biggest challenge to his presidency so far. And when we see this man under siege, he deflects.
Yes. He says, look over there. Here's something else exciting going on, threatening, whatever it is. This has been, his action from the very beginning. It was always look someplace else whenever he got into trouble. But, I think this is a moment when it is important that the American people stay on the core issues here. And that is, this is a corrupt administration, the most corrupt administration in living memory. And that we're going to insist on some accountability, not get distracted and pulled off somewhere else. Some accountability. We want a government from the top down that works for the American people.
So you're looking at the big picture. You've got the Anti-Corruption and Public Integrity Act. Give me a line on each one. I'll start with the first. Padlock the revolving door and increase public integrity. How?
Yeah. Stop this business of somebody works on Wall Street, draws a big salary, gets a big present going out the door to go regulate the very industry that they just worked for and are likely to work for in the future. As long as they're doing that, they're not working for the American people. They're working for the industry that lines their pockets.
End lobbying as we know it.
So on this one, when you leave public office, whether it's as a senator or a member of the House or a cabinet official or a president or a vice president, a lifetime ban on lobbying. No more of this business of you trade your contacts in Washington, sell them to the highest bidder.
Cashing in. End corporate capture of public interest rules. What does that mean?
Yeah. So what this means is when the regulatory agencies are trying to make rules on behalf of the public and they get overwhelmed by these giant corporations that come in and spend zillions of bucks lobbying them, let's put a little tax on the lobbying so the regulatory agency will have the resources to fight back on behalf of the public.
You want to improve judicial integrity and defend access to justice for all Americans.
On this one, I think that the judges, both, and this includes the Supreme Court justices, should not be able to take fancy speaking fees, trips to hunting lodges and golf courses, and they should not be permitted to own and trade in individual stocks. By the way, federal judges shouldn't be able to do it, senators shouldn't be able to do it, congressmen shouldn't be able to do it, the president and vice president shouldn't be able to do it, heads of agencies shouldn't be able to do it, cabinet officials shouldn't be able to do it. If people want to keep their investments, put them in big index funds, But the people who are actually making policy and deciding things in the public interest should have no conflicts, no trading in individual stocks, and let's just remember, no owning businesses on the side.
I get it. Here's my big question, though, because you also want to strengthen enforcement of anti-corruption ethics and public integrity laws, and you want to boost transparency in government. Yeah. So if this all happens, Elizabeth, Senator, who would be left in Washington besides you, Claire McCaskill, and Ben Sasse? I mean, seriously.
No, but seriously, you know, that really is the question, Mika. Who are we here for? Are we here, you know, have folks come to Washington just to line their own pockets, just to improve their careers going forward? Or are they here to work in the public interest? We've had corruption scandals in American history before. And each time the American people have responded, we have tightened up the laws, it's gotten better, and then, you know, corruption has found new ways into the system. Now it is time for us to come together and to say enough of this. No more taking care of yourself. If you want to work in public interest, you really have to work in public interest.
Yeah, and I'll just say this, obviously opinion, but as the fish rots from the head, the people do need to rise up. Casey Hunt, go ahead.
Senator Warren, good to see you. I want to pull it back to the news that we've seen unfold over the past 24 hours rapidly. You, as recently as a few weeks ago with our colleague John Harwood, were asked whether you thought conversations around impeachment were productive at this point. You demurred. You said, you know what, we got to let Mueller finish his investigation. The headline on the front of the New York Times now says president implicated in a campaign finance violation by his own lawyer. I'm wondering if that revelation has changed your view on whether Democrats should be talking and focused on impeachment. Is that a conversation that you should be having? Should there be groundwork being laid for that?
What it means to me is that we have to be even more intensely protective of the Mueller investigation and let it come to its own conclusion. I want the special prosecutor to be able to follow his investigation wherever it goes without interference from Republicans or Democrats. I want him fully protected, and I want him to be able to make a full report to the American people. To me, that's what's critical. And right now, what I think we should be doing in Congress is we should be passing laws to make sure that Donald Trump cannot fire the special prosecutor. That's where the real threat is to Trump, and it's powerfully important that we protect that special prosecutor.
Senator, this is Gene Robinson. Also yesterday, in a little-known story, Congressman Duncan Hunter and his wife were indicted for using $250,000 in campaign money for personal expenses. That follows the indictment of Congressman Chris Collins of New York for insider trading. I guess, and they're both Republicans. My question is, are Democrats going to use this issue and elaborate on it and develop it for the midterms and beyond, or not? What do you think? I mean, realistically, what do you think?
Look, to me, this is the moment when we need to speak out against corruption. As Mika started out, what I've written here is a big bill. I recognize that. It's big and it's sweeping. And notice, it's not just about campaign finance. Campaign finance is something we've been talking about for years, the influence of money on candidates. This is about, even if you fix that problem, which is a terrible problem, which I work on with others, there are still so many other ways that corruption has eaten away at the system here in Washington. That's why we need a comprehensive approach to fight that back. I want to see, look, I'll be blunt, I want to see everybody do this. I want to see Democrats and Republicans say, you know, it's time. We've had it. Let's make these simple rules the law now in Washington and beat back the influence of big money. This really is a world now where too many Americans believe that Washington works for the wealthy and the well-connected, but it's just not working for them. And you know what? They're right. And it's time for us to make change.
And if you read about Senator Elizabeth Warren, her history, read her book, read about her life, you will find that this message is her life's work. It really is what she's about. And Senator, you are announcing when?
I am running for Senate. We've got 76 more days, I think. I just finished my 34th town hall in Massachusetts. I take nothing for granted. It is a great honor to come to Washington to represent the people of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Senator Elizabeth Warren, thank you very much for being on this morning. And coming up, Democrats have an emergency plan in case the president tries to fire Mueller. We'll have more on that, plus new reporting on the president's mood after yesterday's back-to-back legal blows. Morning Joe is coming right back.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.